Hello everyone and welcome to the NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday the 21st of March 2022. It's Gary here again and another very solid week for our team to progress in the Europa League to the quarter-final stage and also to keep pace with the mob from the East End at the top of the Premiership table. Not a bad week at all. It wasn't easy, I have to say, and it certainly wasn't pretty, but we seem to be able, or seem to have been able to put February's kind of fumble fest, especially towards the end of February, behind us and grind out the results that we needed that bodes us really, really well for the title, for the Scottish Cup and Europa League races, for the trophies that we get to enjoy in a bumper April, which is going to be a great time for all concerned. I think I mentioned last week that we scored 6 goals against Borussia Dortmund in the previous round. And I think I might have said that it was 3 and 3, and 3 in the first game, 3 in the second game. Of course, that's not correct. It was 4 in the first game and 2 in the second game. The end result was the same, but the details I may have got wrong. I just had one of these wee nagging feelings afterwards that I might have made a mess of that. So if I did actually say that, my apologies. If I didn't actually say that, just completely ignore this and we'll just pretend it never happened. On to the games for this past week. We didn't quite squeeze out the 2 clean sheets that I had wished for on last week's podcast, but as I mentioned, we found a way to grind out the results that we needed, and that is never a bad thing, especially at this stage of the season. 2 games with the second leg of the Europa League 16 against Red Star, and the crucial game away to Dundee yesterday morning. Starting with the Red Star game, it was another very tight game that gave us some real nervy moments, but fortunately for us, the damage was inflicted in the first game, and we showed enough hard work and endeavour to get to our first quarter-final since 2008. And I think I heard the weird, depressing clown of a commentator that we get here on DAZN in Canada say that we had only been to 5 quarter-finals in our history prior to this one, or maybe this one was our 5th. I don't know my history well enough, so apologies for that, but either way, if it's 5 or if it's 6, it's a very, very special feeling overall. I thought we started the game very well, and I was really hoping that we might grab an early goal to just put them away, put the tie to bed, but they grew into the game, which I guess was to be expected a wee bit, and got a goal when one of their only 2 players in the box, who was standing being watched by 8 Rangers players in the box, managed to control and slot it home without one challenge being put in on the guy. How can that possibly happen? The stadium goes bananas, and then they're really on the front foot. Up steps Sir Alan McGregor to pretty much single-handedly keep it to just a 1, as they seem to have wave after wave after wave of attack. And I was very, very glad to hear the half-time whistle and get us into the dressing room just the 1 goal down. McGregor played fantastically well over the whole game, and just you could tell he was just having one of those nights. The second half was pretty even until we got up the field and basically finished off the tie with a very polished attack and a nice big juicy deflection from, it was a goal bound shot from Ryan Kent to give us the crucial goal, and really you could tell it took the wind out of their sails a bit. And to give absolute credit where it's due to Red Star, they didn't stop trying for the remainder of the game to find ways to lessen the deficit, up until literally the last kick of the ball. But on this occasion, or on the occasions I should say, actually, they did get a sniff of goal. McGregor, as I mentioned, was just a colossus, making save after save, and you could tell he was just loving it. He's just having a great time, and it's amazing to me how slow the clock goes when we're desperate for the final whistle. It's just, isn't it? It's just incredible. Where you're like, that must be 90, that must be 90. Oh, it's 58. Okay, that's fine. So unfortunately, right at the death, they got a penalty from a kind of clumsy foul by Glenn Kamara, and the fellow put it away. I was kind of hoping McGregor was going to pull off some heroics like he did in the first leg to save that one and give us the point. But you know what? On the balance of play in this particular game, they probably deserved the victory, and I don't mind admitting, though, being a wee bit greedy, I was a wee bit disappointed that we did lose the game. It is material in terms of the monies that we get, in the competition for each point in Europe, so it would have been nice to have got that extra, whatever it is, 100k or whatever, I'm not sure. But oh well, we're through, and that's the main thing, and it was a thoroughly entertaining, not quite as hitting the heights, of course, as we did against Dortmund in the previous round, but still very, very efficient, very, very hard working by the team. And I mentioned last week that we did get a lot of breaks in and around, especially in and around our area. And I think you work hard to get the breaks, and I think that's exactly what we did over the course of the two legs. On the referee watch, once again, just another superb performance by the ref, who I think the commentator mentioned he was from Romania, and he just seemed to talk his way through the entire game and got all the big calls correct as far as I can remember. He was perfectly positioned for their penalty and didn't hesitate for a second in blowing for it and giving Kamara a yellow, which was a wee bit disappointing, but no real complaints from me on that one. As I've mentioned, every time we've played in Europe of late, the gulf in class between what we see in European competition and Scotland is just incredible. And it's certainly something for our referees to strive to, because the guy just had a fantastic game. So the ref gets an 8 out of 10 for this particular game. He would have got a 9 if he hadn't given a penalty, but then that would be a wee bit cheating as well. So a reward for making the quarterfinals of a major European tournament is a tie against Portuguese club Braga, who you remember that we played not so long ago in the same competition. And if we beat them, we'll play the winners of the Leipzig versus Atalanta quarter-final that's also taking place as well. Just glamour stuff right there, and I cannot wait to get these games going. Braga aren't doing so great in the Primera Liga right now. They're currently lying in fourth spot after 27 games with a deficit of 24 points behind leaders Porto. But I do recall that they gave us a hell of a test when we last played them. I can't actually remember the season it was now that I'm saying this stuff out loud. And we had to do really, really well to beat them. So this is not going to be easy at all. Well, of course it's not. It's the quarterfinals of Europa League. But we get to park that for a wee bit and concentrate on the league as we move closer to the split and the real nitty-gritty end of the season. But just amazing, an amazing 4 games in Europe we've had over the last wee while. What a privilege to have been part of that just by watching it from here in Calgary. The second game was yesterday morning against bottom of the table Dundee, and in some sort of bizarre twist, we finally wore the 150th anniversary kit that was supposed to be worn earlier in the month against Aberdeen. Just weird. I don't get it. I don't understand. Anyway, I have to say it was a very tough game to watch, and in the moment of the game, as I'm watching it first thing yesterday morning, it felt like we didn't turn up, especially in the first half. And, we lost a bizarre goal in 5 or 6 minutes. When you look at it again, like looking at all the replays, one of our attacking midfielders ends up at right back, trying to stop the cross coming in. And our star winger, who would typically be on either the left or the right, is in central defence, with our actual defenders nowhere to be seen in the passage of play. It's just dumb. So weird, but I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. If we're going all out attack, you can see something like that, but I don't know if that's exactly what we were doing at the time. I don't think I've seen something like that before. And, the only real highlight from the first half for us was the fans' protest that took place, which started in earnest when the game was delayed on about 10 minutes with tons of toilet paper being thrown onto the pitch. And the protest, of course, is against the club hierarchy organising the friendly against that mob from the East End at the Sydney Super Cup in Australia. There was another one at the start of the second half with a whole bunch of tennis balls being thrown onto the pitch, and I assume a bit of the ball is in your court now gesture to the board. Hopefully they are heeding the gesture and doing something about that. More about that towards the end of the pod today. But Morelos had a great chance in 17 minutes that unfortunately went wide, and we had a few like that. We got a penalty for a shirt pull on Morelos in 40 minutes, and unfortunately, and I don't get to say this very often of late, Tav made an absolute mess of it by skying it over the bar. So, still no shots on target, and what, as I mentioned earlier, was an incredibly poor first half. Second half started pretty much the same, it felt like, until around about the hour mark, when we really started to swarm their area and pepper shot after shot after shot on their goal, and until the sprinklers showed up and put a dampener on our pressure. You see what I did there? Yeah. And we equalised through Aaron Ramsey getting his first goal for the club on 64 minutes, and then we got a late winner from Connor Goldson and on 86 minutes. And for regular listeners to the pod, you'll know that I've always said that Connor Goldson does really well in the opposition box, and just look how well he is doing for us these days. Alright, I say the exact opposite of that because he's been a donkey in the opposition box for most of the season, but boy oh boy is he making up for that now in the business end of the season. So keep doing that, Mr. Goldson, and we will bode well for the remainder of the season. So we took the points, and we're now 50 points ahead of Dundee. 50 points, and it took a late winner 4 minutes from time to finally beat them. Ooh, I don't know, but the main thing is that we did find a way to beat them. And I honestly believe we haven't managed to do that enough this season, especially this side of the season, the 2022 side of the season. And I do think that really bodes well that we dug deep and we managed to bring the 3 points home. We haven't always done that. And we've struggled, looking at the Dundee United and the Motherwell games from last month, just not what we wanted to see. So, I'm going to take that as a positive. And quite honestly, during the game, I wasn't in a mad panic like I normally would be. I was quite calm because we played ever so well in the second half, and we definitely did deserve it. And I'm sure Dundee will be a bit disappointed because it was so late, but it was just utter domination. And if you look at the stats after the game, it truly was utter domination. So we'll take the 3 points. We'll move on, thankful that we don't need to go back to Dens Park again this season, and actually maybe not for quite some time after that too, depending on how the relegation battle unfolds over the last 7 or 8 games or so. On the referee watch, unlike the last time Bobby Madden refereed us, when I was just in a rage at the guy, I didn't think he had a bad game at all. He didn't have any material negative moments that I can remember, and he managed to keep the game flowing as much as he could on that potato field of a pitch, and based on the kind of clugging way that Dundee were going about the business. He did add on 7 minutes at the end of the game, primarily because of the delays caused by the protests, but no complaints for me on that one. So credit where it's due. I think he managed the game fairly well, so he gets a 7 out of 10 for that game. This week, we're now on the dreaded international break cycle, and I don't mind admitting that I'm actually pretty glad about that. The team has had a very, very busy February and March. And, of course, the tough ending to February, just when the results weren't going our way, we surrendered the lead at the top of the league, and things are starting to look a wee bit doom and gloom. And I think the team could do with a wee bit of a rest, a wee bit of recovery, a bit of a battery recharge. And hopefully they'll come back after the break refreshed, because, as I mentioned at the top of the show here tonight, April is an absolute barnstormer of a month for us, with at least 2 Old Firm games to come. And I say at least because we don't know what's going to happen immediately after the split. They usually try and get the Old Firm games out of the way as early as they possibly can. Of course, 2 Europa League quarter-final ties and a Scottish Cup semi-final at Hampden to look forward to, which of course is one of the 2 Old Firm games that I mentioned there earlier. In March, we played 3 league games and won all 3. We successfully managed through a Scottish Cup quarter-final tie and played 2 games in Europe, winning 1 and losing 1, but progressing through on aggregate. That's a very busy and very successful month for the team. So congratulations to everybody involved for giving us exactly what we wanted and needed in March. Our next game is at home to Celtic on the 3rd of April. And how massive is that game for us now, especially as we're the ones chasing now. It wasn't the case last time, and even more especially after the way we got absolutely battered by them back in early February. That was just an incredibly awful experience, so we need to make amends and do it in style, please and thanks. I think, there's this folklore that we don't do too well after breaks, the winter break or any international breaks. We have an opportunity to really build on and seize the momentum that we're doing. They're starting to grind out result after result. They seem to be kind of stopping losing goals as well. So we need to be at our best that day. And if the real Rangers shows up, then we win the game. It's as simple as that. But we'll talk a bit more about that when it gets a bit closer to the game. For RTV, the same as the last few weeks, a couple of voucher requests, but nothing too onerous for us to manage. We are in the final throes of monies collection for the season to date, and we'll be using the international break to get that one completely caught up. And as I mentioned before, if there are any delinquent clubs at the end of this month, they will be cut off, individual and club vouchers. So please pay heed to the communications that have already come your way or that will be coming your way. And other than that, it was pretty quiet on the RTV front. If you need any help or support on the vouchers, please reach out directly to Alan McWatt and he will give you what you need. For shout-outs, I just have the one shout-out this week, and it's for my nephew Callum Carey, who successfully got the new Celtic Supporters Club in Calgary blocked from the local expats Facebook page by consistently reporting them to Facebook every time they posted anything, which eventually got them blocked or barred or whatever the terminology is. So they've just rekindled a club in literally the dodgiest area in Calgary here, and I guess they were looking to try and drum up some support. Popped the odd wee thing out there, and Callum just reported them. So absolutely brilliantly staunch. Callum, well done. Keep up the great work and fighting the good fight. I love it. For a convention update this week, I can officially confirm that it is 73 days until the first official event of the 2022 convention. So to put that in weeks context, that's just over 10 weeks to get everything sorted for the events that are coming. Next week it's going to be in single figures, oh my word. One main update is that we have had the football on sale now for coming up for a couple of weeks, and it's selling very well. We have just under 2 weeks left on that before we have to confirm with the shirt supplier the shirt sizing, and as you book the football you will be asked for a shirt size, and there's a size guide there as well. So we do have a tight turnaround on timelines for this one, so please don't delay. What I can tell you is that as of right now, on the 21st of March, is we have 3 of the 4 teams numbers wise already filled up. So if you are planning to play, please don't hesitate and please don't wait until the last minute. Get on it right away to avoid disappointment. I will put the link to the booking site on the blurb for tonight's pod as well, and I don't want anyone to be disappointed to be missing out. And we also have people, I think I maybe mentioned it last week, we have people asking about transportation to and from the venue to come and see the games and stuff, and yes, we will be putting that on. A wee bit more information will come on that as we get a wee bit beyond the initial bookings of the players and stuff like that. Just a reminder also that the golf is also out there on sale, and if you're planning to golf, it would be a good idea to get that booked, and we will be confirming our VIPs over the next couple of weeks, and we anticipate that at least a few of them will be golfing, so you'll get the chance to rub shoulders with some of your heroes when you get over there and get golfing. So again, I'll put the link to that in there as well. On the VIP front, we're now able to let you know some of the guests that are officially going to be joining us in Las Vegas, and this, let me tell you folks, is the exciting bit for me, I have to say. As you know, as I mentioned a few times now, we have a three-themed approach, I guess I could say, for guests at this event, and because it's massive for us and very poignant in terms of the anniversaries that we're celebrating there, and of course the celebration of world normalcy returning for everyone to be able to travel and to be able to do that fairly unrestricted and the like. So the theme is Barcelona 72 to commemorate the famous Cup Winners' Cup win, 9 in a row to commemorate our historic 9 championships in a row, and other major contributors to the Rangers cause, which will include legends who more than contributed to Rangers over other years that maybe don't coincide with Barcelona 72 or 9 in a row. So today we're going to start with the Barcelona 72 guests, and I am absolutely delighted, folks, to announce that the goal scorers from that famous night in Barcelona, both Colin Steen and Willie Johnston, will be joining us alongside none other than Willie Henderson. Mr. Henderson had left the club by the time the final came around, but he more than played his part in getting us to the latter stages of that competition. So 3 absolute staunch, bona fide legends right there. For those who have been fortunate enough to join us at previous conventions that they have attended, you'll know that these guys are genuine salt of the earth and do a fantastic job in representing the club and are just tremendous to be around. We'll be working on formally getting their bios organised and out there through our regular communication channels, and I just personally can't wait to see them again. It's always a great time when we get a chance to spend a bit of time in their company. So there you go. Steen, Johnson, Henderson. That's a pretty decent start, folks. I hope you agree. We are working on other guests literally right now as I speak to you. And next week and the week after, we'll be able to pretty much have all the guests confirmed. I'm sure we're at the very, very latter stages with some folks and some real heavy hitters there as well. So stay tuned for that. And then we'll get them involved in the other events that I mentioned earlier. And we are going to ask them to come along and either play football or coach on the football. And as I mentioned, the golf, of course, as well. So you could be coached by some pretty significant people. Let me just leave it at that and try and build up a wee bit more anticipation for next week. So I can also confirm that the NARSA executive, we are actually planning a trip to Las Vegas in just under 2 weeks. We head down there on Friday the 1st of April for a series of meetings and a walkthrough with the hotel leadership to make sure that we have as much opportunity to have all the particulars fully taken care of, discussed and straightened out in advance. This is our biggest convention in our history and we need to get it right. And I promise that we will, I should say. And this trip will really help us set the scene, give us a more detailed understanding of what needs to happen and when, and we'll also give the exec a chance to strategize about convention logistics and NARSA's strategic health and overall direction too, which I'm personally really looking forward to, as we haven't had a chance to do that for quite some time together as a group. We do meet fairly regularly on a monthly basis as we close in on the convention, but it's going to be much better being face to face. So if you happen to be in or around the Vegas area on the weekend of April the 1st to the 3rd, it would be great to see you. Reach out and we'll hopefully get a chance to tip back a few beers. And what that means from a football perspective is that we will be visiting the Bears from the Las Vegas Loyal Rangers Supporters Club for the Old Firm game at 4 a.m. on the 3rd. So that's travelling day to get back. So I don't know, I'm hoping that we get the result we need and then I behave properly afterwards. I'm fairly sure I will. But being in Calgary, I'm used to the 5 a.m. games, but not so much the 4 a.m. games. So that's going to be a pretty new experience for me, I'm sure. But it'll be great to watch it with fellow exec members. And I hope that we are all good luck for each other and that we get the result that we need. So what this also means is that the pod that we'll do on Monday, the 4th of April, might have me sounding a wee bit tired. I do get very, very tired when I come back from Vegas, so it's something to do with the jet lag or the desert air or something like that. So, as I say, the main focus for us for this week is continuing to work through the VIP guests confirmations and then getting the announcements and stuff ready. We're going to do the first announcements for each of the VIPs on the pod each week, and then the subsequent communications will come out as well. So if you follow us on social media, you'll get to see some of the teasers that get sent out to accompany that as well. Another regular plug for our frequently asked questions document that I've been discussing forever now. It's on the website. There's new information in there about buying or trading tickets that you have already purchased if they're part of a pack and things like that. So go ahead and take a peek at that, and if you don't get your questions answered there, you can then reach out directly to us and we can get you what you need. On the comms front for this week, the club announced last week that they are pledging support for people affected by the ongoing conflict in the Ukraine. The article says, Rangers Football Club can today confirm that the men's and women's first team players, management staff and directors will be donating a minimum of £72,000 to support people affected by the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. With the anticipated addition of gift aid, the actual benefit to the charities will be even greater. The donation will be made via the Rangers Charity Foundation and then split between UNICEF's Ukraine Emergency Appeal and the DEC's Ukraine Humanitarian Crisis Appeal. The escalating conflict is placing millions of children and their families across the country in immediate danger. Both UNICEF and DEC are working tirelessly on the ground in Ukraine to provide life-saving aid and reach to those and reach those in need. Sorry, my apologies. The donation is in addition to £15,000, which was donated by the Rangers Charity Foundation to the UNICEF Ukraine emergency appeal earlier this month. So, I mean, we're creeping into, the hundreds of thousands of pounds here, which is amazing. In the article, there are quotes from Stuart Robertson, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, James Tavernier, and Amy McDonald too. So I would encourage you to check that out if you haven't seen it yet. And I'll put the link to the article in the blurb as well. And on the topic of the Rangers Charity Foundation, they also launched their 150th anniversary appeal prize draw last week, and the article on the website says, as part of our 150th anniversary appeal, we have created a unique prize draw with some incredible collector's items and experiences up for grabs, including a holiday to Barcelona, amazing Rangers money can't buy experiences, memorabilia, concert tickets, UEFA Nations League, hospitality, and much more. Plus, it's only £10 to enter, or get 3 chances to win for £20 and 10 chances for £50. Our prize draw will run right through until 4 p.m. on Monday, the 18th of April, and the winners will be announced on Tuesday, the 19th of April. There's the list of prizes or gifts that have been donated by various sponsors and supporters of Rangers is included there. But as I mentioned there's a trip to Barcelona, there's director's box tickets, there's virtual meet and greets with first team players, there are Harry Styles, oh my god, hospitality tickets, and much more. So I would encourage you to go check it out. For a tenner, it's worth a punt, and you know that you are, of course, supporting the 150th anniversary appeal prize draw for the Charity Foundation. And from a positive communication perspective, this week I got an email from the club. I guess I can't remember exactly what day it was last week, advertising Mother's Day gifting that you could purchase from the club, and then it was followed a day or so later with a note saying, we understand Mother's Day may be a difficult period for some of our fans. If you would rather not receive emails from us about Mother's Day this year, please press the button below, and we will still keep you updated with other Rangers content and news. But of course, they'll opt you out of the Mother's Day stuff. And I thought that was a very thoughtful thing to do, and hopefully that helped ease some worldwide bears' grief and suffering if they aren't fortunate enough to have their mums around any longer. I thought it was a really nice touch by the club, and even if it was born from a complaint or two from people who are maybe in the kind of suffering bracket, well done to the club for jumping on it right away and for providing a choice for the fans to either opt in or opt out of some of the emails that come out. I assume the club will do something similar for Father's Day as well, and that's of course a very good thing as well. So well done to the comms folks at the club for doing that. That was very much appreciated, and I thought a very poignant gesture. Good for you guys. And almost finally, on the comms front, I wanted to provide an update on Rangers Football Club's response to our note to them from the 2nd of March regarding our request to have them rethink the friendly, in big inverted commas, in Australia from against that mob from the east end of Glasgow. I didn't receive a courtesy reply to the original email, so I emailed them again on the 16th, which is 2 weeks after the initial email requesting a response, and again reiterating that NARSA encourages the club to rethink this decision. Again, as I record this, and right now it's 5:34 p.m. on Monday night, there has been no response, which is so disappointing and frustrating. I've long communicated with the club, and the theme of all of my emails or texts or phone calls is always, how can I help? How can NARSA help? It's always been that. I don't ask for trade secrets to be divulged. I don't ask or seek out any exclusives or any of that. I just want to use whatever little platform or influence or skills that I have to benefit the club and helping them move forward with whatever the topic or subject matter is at the time. Sometimes they've afforded me the opportunity to help, and sometimes they haven't. And as I've mentioned for the past 2 weeks now, they haven't, and they haven't even graced it with a reply. And it's just such a very simple fix for me. Start by telling the truth about the club's stance and what, if anything, we can expect to see next. And then, acknowledge the feeling of the fans. Just come out and tell the truth. I would say something along the lines of, we entered into this agreement thinking it was the right thing to do. We didn't anticipate or plan for fan reaction. We have to listen to that, and we have listened to that, and this is what we're going to do about it. People can put up with anything as long as they know, but to go full ostrich on us is just not helpful at all, and it doesn't do anything for fan engagement. And now we are seeing protests. And I mentioned that I hoped that this would be addressed during the international break, and I genuinely, truly hope that is exactly what the club are planning to do. We don't need any more delays in games from fans' protests, especially when we're chasing the games as well. You know, we all want to enjoy the excitement of these massive games that are coming our way in April and hopefully beyond. And this unwanted distraction is literally getting in the way of us being able to fully enjoy it. Let's get this sorted, folks, and then we can move on and get back to enjoying being Rangers fans, and hopefully what's going to be a very historic season for us and very successful as well. In the theme of I don't want to end on a downer this week, I'm going to finish with talking about the trailer that's been broadcast for the new film Rangers 72 that tells the story from the tragedy of the Ibrox disaster to the triumph in Barcelona in 1972, and it's made by the makers of the Leeds United documentary. I think it's called Take Us Home, and it's a 6-part series or something like that. I haven't seen it, but it's by the same filmmakers, and I talked about this on a pod. Oh, I can't even remember when it was. I don't even think it was this year. It was probably late last year. And I'll put the trailer, the link to the trailer in the blurb tonight, and please go watch it. I think it's like maybe 2 minutes 40 seconds or something like that. It's not very long, and I challenge you not to be absolutely buzzing at the end of the, however long it is, of the footage that they give us. It's brilliant. It looks absolutely incredible, and it makes our Barcelona 72 guest lineup all the more special, I reckon. So that's a wee teaser for you to go check it out. It warms the cockles, it makes you proud to be a Rangers fan, and I can't wait to see the actual film when it comes out. So that's going to do it for this week, my friends. No competitive games for us, of course, but there is the Legends match that's taking place next weekend. If that's something that's of interest to you, you can go onto the Rangers website and see how you can get access to the game either in person or on Rangers TV. As always, thank you very, very, very much for taking the time to listen. Please do share it with whomever you think might enjoy it. And until next week, take care. All the very best. Cheerio.